Hi, I'm Megan. Welcome to today's live reading of Consigliere's Revenge by Via Mari, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Join me. Chapter 1, Lorenzo. The private club on the top floor of the Larussio casino thrums with a seductive beat. I sip on my scotch and contemplate plans for a revenge that we will rain down on the DeRosas with all the brutality that the Larussios have to give. The monsters who hit our casino during a family wedding were always going to pay dearly for injuring so many and killing 6 of our cousins. After kidnapping my youngest cousin and the boss's baby sister, though, when we get through exacting our revenge, they are going to wish they had never even contemplated crossing a Larussio. The server stops by the table reserved for our family to check in on my drink, but I'm still working on the one in front of me. All of a sudden, the lights of the club dim. The conversations become a little more hushed. The panels in the ceiling open. Patrons wait with shallow breath as the gilded cages lower, and the dancers inside each of them begin their little show. A pretty blonde in nothing but a G-string and sexy red heels sways seductively overhead. She gives me a red-lipped Marilyn Monroe type of smile, her breasts bouncing invitingly as she winks seductively and then spins on a pointed toe to let me see her ass. I shift the sleeve of my suit coat back and glance at the golden diamond watch on my wrist. There's still plenty of time to wrap up business plans and then unwind the night with her. Every woman in the club knows the consigliere of the Larussio family has come to town. There are no shortages of available and willing women. They can smell the prestige and the influence from a million miles away. It's not like I haven't seen it before. Different city, different women, same damn thing. A consigliere title means wealth and power. The man who helps guide the family strategy and consults with the boss and underboss to ensure the orders to the capos are strategic and sound. Responsibility for aligning operations with our forefathers' visions for the notorious crime family puts me in a powerful position, and these women are drawn to it like a magnet. I watched the sultry blonde dance for a while. Might as well make the most of it because it sounds as though I'll be making Vegas my home. At least until we've sent a clear and concise message to the DeRosas and every other family in the United States who may be thinking about taking a swing at the Larussios for encroaching on their territory. I tip my scotch glass in her direction, and when the server returns with another drink, I scroll a note for the dancer. Give this to the blonde in front of me, I tell her, interested to see if she'll writhe under my cock as sexy as she does in her cage. The server nods. Absolutely, Mr. Larussio. I glance toward the door as Dominic walks toward me in a fresh black suit with Emilia fucking DeRosa on his arm. The look of determination on his face is one that I've come to know from the underboss of our family. He's going to do what he wants when he wants, especially with where this woman is concerned. He reaches me and introduces the woman as though DeRosa's spoiled little daughter is in our enemy's prized possession instead of his own. I extend a hand because there's no use getting into a debate about it in front of her. Nice to meet you, Emilia. I appreciate what you did for my cousin and the family. It's not a lie because I do appreciate it, but that doesn't change anything. She's still the enemy's daughter, and whether Dominic and Salvatore see it now, she's part of the play in the future. I glance around at a few eyes that have shifted to our table, all probably wondering the same thing. Alliances. They mean everything in the criminal underworld. Seeing the enemy's daughter hanging onto the underboss's arm says fuck you to not only her father, but any of our customers who come to us because they don't want anything to do with the DeRosas. They all want to know one thing. Is our family at war with the DeRosas or in bed with them? And strategically, each has its own advantages depending on the customer. It's my job to navigate those things and create a path forward after the doubt Dominic has just placed in the minds of the most notorious criminals and highest payers to our family around. I turn to Dominic. You're creating quite the buzz. Dominic grins, wraps her arm around Emilia DeRosa's waist, and leans down to kiss her, shattering anyone's illusions that they are not a couple. Now they will have something to take to the tabloids, he tells me. My jaw tightens with irritation at my cousin and his stubborn streak. This brings an entirely new level of complexity to an already flammable situation. What I don't want is for the DeRosas to get goaded into any other actions that puts us on defense instead of our own plan of attack. The heat of someone watching us draws my eyes to the most striking woman I've ever seen. She has sleek, shiny, bright auburn hair that hangs over the back. It hangs over the black sweater dress that hugs her curves beautifully, ending just above her calves. Her feet are adorned with most intricate and delicate-looking strappy black heels, at least 4 inches high. She is the epitome of class and elegance all wrapped up in the sexiest little package I've ever seen. The pictures I've seen of this reporter in the local newspapers do not do her justice. I turn to Dominic, who probably has no idea he's being watched by the sharp-tongued reporter with a hard-on for splashing crime family members through the mud. Oh, I'm pretty sure they have everything they need without anyone bringing it to them. By the time we finish breakfast, it'll be on every social media outlet around the globe. I tip my glass toward the redhead reporter, wondering how the fuck she was able to get into the elite and private top floor club of the Larussio casino, and I'm determined to find out. The heat of her gaze causes me to look up into the deepest blue eyes, warming me with their color. I avert my eyes and send a message to one of our kappas. A woman with long red hair wearing a black dress is in the private upstairs club. How did she get in? My eyes are still on the show, which will only last a few more moments before the cages lift the dancers back into the ceiling. The customers may like the entertainment, but that's not where we make our money. It's just a little treat every hour on the hour for our elite patrons who come to town to lay their money down and to keep them hanging around, mindlessly spending more money than they intended until the very next show. I've lost all interest in the blonde dancer overhead who does everything in her power to entertain the crowd. My eyes are focused on the redhead who's openly observing Dominic and his latest little conquest as they make their way back to the elevator. I swallow back the rest of my scotch and put my glass down with a thud. Life as the consigliere to the Larussio crime family will be very different working with Salvatore and Dominic instead of our great uncle. And life just got a whole lot more interesting. I follow the redhead who's heading for the elevator, trying to make her getaway. Not that she knows I've spotted her. She gets in as I reach the doors, and I hold them before she has a chance to push a button. Allow me, I tell her, stepping into the elevator with her. Which floor? Her eyes are watchful. First lobby, please. I push the button to the lower level, and the door closes. The light scent of her floral perfume wafts under my nostrils in the enclosed space. I turn my full attention to her, taking in the cupid-shaped mouth and heart-shaped face. The blue eyes that are set wide apart on high, thinly shaped eyebrows create an exaggerated arc that only emphasizes the intent of her stare. Most people have a nervous tell when I'm this close, but she's either extremely good at keeping her emotions in check, or she's simply not afraid. Both interesting in their own right. I turn the full weight of my stare to her, and even in her strappy 4-inch heels, she has to look up. Reporters aren't welcome in the club, Izzy Arden. Her eyes widen at the use of her name. If you're here on personal business and not for work, we can make arrangements to get you a pass. I tell her, glancing down at my phone to see if Renzo has been able to find out who she came with. Her gaze doesn't waver. Last time I checked, it was a free country, Mr. Larussio, one in which you can pay a membership to a club as elite as this and decide to bring a +1, which, by the way, is not in any way, shape, or form against the rules. Your guests would not be harassed by the owners. I nod. Who did you come with? Those blue eyes flash. Does it matter? Only if you plan to print what you saw tonight. Izzy laughs. You mean the story about Dominic and the DeRosa princess putting on a show for me and all the others who will leave the club and then go call her daddy? She shrugs. I haven't decided if it's newsworthy enough or if I should find something a little juicier. She leans in close. Do you have any secrets you want to tell me? Anything that would sell a few papers? She asks. My jaw tightens with irritation, wishing to fuck something had come back on the screening I had done of her after the first story she wrote. Something that would have told me who she was dating that would have allowed me to stop her from being admitted to the club. Go home and don't come back. Izzy laughs, a gentle, soft, melodic sound. Don't worry, Lorenzo. I'm sure there are better stories than the little kiss I just saw back there. If I dig deep enough, perhaps a body or two might pop up. My jaw tightens and spine straightens. I close the distance between us, placing my hands on either side of her as the elevator slowly makes its way to the lower level from the top floor of the skyrise. The pulse on the side of her creamy neck beats in time with my own pulse. Her eyes flash in defiance, but she's as turned on as me. She may be as aroused at the close proximity of our bodies, but she's not scared. Something I find very interesting and arousing in and of itself. I lean closer, my nose rubbing against the sensitive shell of her ear. Be very careful, Izzy. Some things are better left buried. Stay away from my fucking family. She swallows hard, and the pulse of her neck begins to beat erratically, showing a little fear for the first time. There now, maybe a little bit of self-preservation will kick in. I tell her as the door opens. My arm drops to the side. The melodic sounding and tough as nails reporter doesn't waste the chance I've given her and uses it to bolt through the doors and away from me. I watch her heart-shaped ass sway back and forth all the way down the long tiled hall of the Larussio resort until she reaches the main reception area and walks out to the front entrance. That woman is going to be nothing but trouble. I pound out a message to Renzo because finding out who she came with is even more important now. The rules may say that a guess is permissible, but not if it's her. That +1 is nothing but trouble.